If you are looking for a great summertime getaway and want to experience the fresh alpine air where one of the best ghost towns is located, this one won't disappoint. We'll show you where you can find this one next on Ghost Towns and More. Southwestern Colorado has some of the best historical settlements and ghost towns you'll find anywhere. But the one we're about to show you deserves an award with a very high wow factor. Located just over 15 miles northeast from the historic mining town of Silverton is a ghost town that never did have a very large population, but its preservation and scenic mountain location at just over 11,000 feet is beyond impressive. In the 1870s, prospectors were combing these mountains in hopes of striking it rich. Early discoveries led many to believe this place had the potential of producing some high profits. As anyone could soon discover, this alpine location had pros and cons about living there. The summer months in the mountain region are stunningly beautiful, but during the winter, early prospectors had to get out. Those daring miners wisely decided to spend their winters in nearby Silverton. By February of 1875, the new town, named after a combination of river forks in the area called Animas Forks, had its first post office and the mining camp became a town. A hotel and general store opened up and cabins dotted the landscape. Soon, stagecoaches were making daily runs between Animas Forks and Silverton, and as long as the roads were clear, needed supplies kept the town alive. With more stable buildings and stocked-up supplies, more people were willing to brave the long winters by the end of the 1870s, although there were risks of avalanches and isolation. Mining mills were built and operational with 114 people living in town by 1880. The population remained very small when compared to other boom towns. Some estimates put the highest population count to about 450 at its peak. In 1882, the town boasted its own newspaper, the Animas Forks Pioneer. The newspaper claimed that Animas Forks was the largest city in the world at this altitude. Not surprisingly, the winter of 1884 brought with it a terrible blizzard, and snow levels were as high as 25 feet. Residents were trapped and had to dig tunnels in order to get from one building to another. For 23 long days, residents were unable to get out. Although mining continued during these early years, the profits were never what everyone hoped. There were ores being shipped out, but the economic return was less than what was really needed to remain profitable. By the late 1880s, the post office shut down for a time, and mining remained operational but lagged. To make matters worse, if not dire, the town suffered a devastating fire in late 1891, burning the hotel and 14 buildings. Most of the residents had had enough and moved away. Redemption came in 1903 when mining picked up, and work commenced with the construction of a new mill. In 1904, the Silverton Northern Railroad extended its tracks all the way from Silverton to Animas Forks, which facilitated a more reliable route for steady supplies, as well as ore transportation. The post office reopened for a time, and things looked promising. By 1905, there were 4 saloons in operation, and with the addition of a new ore tramway, the future looked bright. The population of the town swelled again, and saw the installation of electricity, a telegraph, and even telephones. The prosperity was short-lived, however. In 1907, the mill owners filed bankruptcy, ultimately closing it by 1910, and the population dropped off to about 90. Then, in September of 1913, another dreaded fire wiped out several buildings, saloons, and a boarding house. When the Frisco Mill closed in 1914, most of the residents called it a day and left. The Silverton Northern Railroad tore up its tracks in 1936, and only a few remaining residents stayed on for just a few more years. Animas Forks was eventually bought by the Bureau of Land Management and preserved as a historic site. The remaining homes and buildings have been carefully stabilized, and today visitors can drive to the site and enjoy self-guided tours through the town. Interpretive signs guide visitors with descriptions of what the structures were used for and when they were built. The impressive mill and mine site are especially interesting to see. Access to the town site is best from the town of Silverton, and although passable in a car, the gravel road can be bumpy in places and should only be attempted during the summer months. The alpine setting in Animas Forks is beautiful and is rewarding to see. There are other ghost towns in close proximity, and visitors should plan on a number of days to explore neighboring historic towns. Also consider riding the Durango and Silverton Railroad that arrives and departs from Silverton. There is so much to see and enjoy in San Juan County, Colorado, that we suggest you take a few days to take in the historic sites and experience the grandeur of the mountains. Animas Forks is one of our favorite ghost towns we highly recommend for your summertime travel plans.